Hello there, social media loving peeps. Welcome to my channel. I'm at it again like a crazy person. I know that's my tagline from my gaming channel, Red Jade Queen. I am a gamer, and this is why I'm bringing up this topic is, I have to talk about Chloe Price, and I'm a big fan of the Life is Strange franchise, and later this month is going to be the release of Life is Strange Reunion, but I wanted to talk about Chloe Price and how grief really just shapes our reality a lot and how the world just fails girls entirely. But, let's step it back for a second over here and let's actually structure this video so I can be coherent with you. So, sometimes a character isn't just a character. Sometimes she's a mirror, and I wrote it down. I did script this, people. So, for the girl you were, the girl you survived being, or the girl the world never learned how to hold. And I mean that entirely. A lot of us grew up this way. Chloe Price has been sitting with me as I replay the Life is Strange franchise, not as fiction, but as a reminder of how the environment shapes us, how grief rewires us, and how young women are so often punished for the ways they cope in life, okay? So, let that sink in for a second because I am good at this, okay? I've been streaming the Life is Strange franchise every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my gaming channel. Like I said again, Red Jade Queen. I'll drop a link in the description below if you want to check it out. I do a bunch of crazy shit on there. I finished the first game recently and I found myself thinking a lot about Chloe and everything because, Chloe gets a lot of shit online because, some people just don't understand these types of girls, but we do. Us ladies who grew up in this way, we do. Not, I like her, not in the casual, she's my favorite character way, but in a deeper sense of recognizing a girl who was built from real bones. She is a fictional character. And I say this constantly when I stream these games. I'm like, and I talk about these characters, specifically when I write blogs on it, that they are fiction, but fiction doesn't just come from nowhere. It comes from basically lived experiences, observations, and basically emotional truths. Because how else are you going to build fleshed out characters? You're going to pull it from reality. The way we resonate with them says something about us because all of us, we resonate with characters in a different way about what we live through in life and about what we've learned to see in people. Chloe is one of those characters who reveals more of herself the older you get. I'm old, okay? I'm 40 fucking years old, and I know I'm swearing on a video here, but it's just to point it out, it took me until this time to actually recognize Chloe's character and what it's built off of. The more life you've lived, the more you've healed from a lot of different griefs and traumas, and the more you've learned to understand people not as a problem, but as a product of their environments, okay? So, people often look at Chloe and see chaos. They see the loudness, the sarcasm, the impulsiveness, and the fire. She is very fiery. She feisty. They see the rough edges and assume she's difficult. And she might be, but not in the way you're thinking. But Chloe isn't really difficult. She's armored up. I'm like, she's closed up. She has a closed door. She can't trust people. Her personality is basically trauma logic. Loudness becomes protection. Wit becomes deflection, which she does entirely. Her whole mechanic is based on that, like her banter system. And anger becomes a boundary with her. So rebellion becomes the only form of control she has left. Underneath all of that, she's soft, she's sensitive. Most of all, she's loyal. That girl loyal. And she feels everything at full volume, okay? This is why she reacts so heavily. People don't become like Chloe because they want to be a problem. They become like Chloe because life has been a problem to them. Let that sink in, okay? One of the most overlooked wounds in Chloe's story is Max's disappearance, okay? Max didn't just move away and did not stay in touch. She moved away and vanished entirely. She ghosted Chloe, and you can see it in the text messages as you play Before the Storm. And here's something people misunderstand. Highly empathic people don't always cry for others, okay? Sometimes they shut down and they walk away quietly. They avoid the emotional weight they can't carry. That's Max, and that's revealed in Double Exposure as well. She didn't leave because she didn't care. She left because she couldn't handle Chloe's grief or her own. And when she eventually comes back to Arcadia Bay, it isn't because she planned to reconnect with Chloe. It's because a professor at Blackwell, Jeffrey, whatever his name's is, gave her a reason to return. Chloe only resurfaced in her mind after she got accepted. And I know I lost my earring over here. It just completely fell out. I'm like, I'm gonna live with it, okay? If that opportunity never came, Chloe would have stayed buried in the darkest corner of Max's memory, okay? It's abandonment without malice, but abandonment all the same, okay? Let that sink in. Then there's Joyce, the parents, okay? A hardworking mother who is grieving. She's exhausted and trying, but ooh. Okay, let me reframe this. But she made a mistake that many parents make. She brought in a new partner, David, and expected her daughter to accept him. Chloe never had to like David, by the way, or see him as a father figure. And Joyce treated her like she had to, or like, and had to make that effort. You don't have to do that. I'm like, this is Joyce's partner. This is not supposed to be a replacement for William in terms of Chloe. Joyce let her loneliness overshadow her relationship with her daughter. You recognize that pattern in life? Okay. She outsourced discipline to an authoritarian man and took his side over her child. Okay, let that sink in. Chloe didn't need discipline. She needed time. She needed time to heal. She needed her mother. She needed space to grieve her father's death. She needed connection. Chloe and William, you see in the game, they're like attached at the hip. She's a daddy's girl. And Joyce never built that same bond with Chloe. After that loss, that was the moment to try, but Joyce didn't. And Chloe paid the price. And that's not a pun, by the way. But let that sink in, okay? This is why Chloe clung to Rachel Amber so tightly. Rachel didn't fix her. Rachel saw her. She listened, she understood, and gave Chloe a safe space to exist without judgment. Let that sink in, okay? When you've been abandoned, dismissed, and misunderstood, that kind of presence feels like salvation. And it kind of does. It gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling on the inside there. Chloe calling Rachel her angel wasn't melodrama. It was relief. And we have to actually let that sink in, process that for a second, because I know a lot of you probably have those figures out there that you probably did cling to, all right? But in the alternate timeline in chapter 4 shows us something important. Chloe's essence never changes. In the timeline where William lives, she's quieter, softer, academically successful. However, she's disabled because of the accident that happened. And she's also dying slowly. And still she got kicked out of Blackwell, even though she was a 4.0 student. Both timelines lead her to the same fate. She's expelled, isolated, dying young, but her core remains the same. She's still kind. She's still sensitive. She's still remarkably loyal. She's still Chloe. The world around her changes, but not who she is, by the way. The game is quietly telling us that the environment shapes expression, not essence, okay? Let that sink in. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty of this, okay? Because I know I'm going to spark some arguments here. People love to say Warren is stable, and he is. But stability doesn't always create growth. Max would have stayed small with Warren. Let that sink in. She would have still stayed small with Warren, okay? Comfortable, unchallenged. Comfortable is the worst thing you could ever have when you need to grow as a human being. You need to be in discomfort. There is a thing of striving for comfort, but there is a toxicity to comfort because it leads to you not growing. When you're unchallenged in life, you do not grow. You stay the same. And even worse, sometimes you shrink more. Chloe, on the other hand, she pushes Max out of her comfort zone. She forces Max to confront herself. Chloe makes Max grow. See the difference? And you can see it in the story as it plays out. And the story quietly tells us that Warren's real romantic match is Brooke. Their personalities, their interests, and the dialogue all points to that pairing. Just like in Mass Effect, because I mentioned this in the blog too, where the emotional weight leans towards Shepard and Liara. And don't fight me on that. You know that. The whole story is wrapped around Shepard and Liara. There's more content with them than any other character in the game. Life is Strange puts its narrative heart into Max and Chloe. The other options exist to broaden appeal, not because they're in the intended core. Let that sink in, okay? And then there's the simple fact that Chloe is 19. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for judgment, impulse control, and decision making, doesn't fully mature until around 25. And this girl is on different substances, so I can imagine those blood flow in her brain is not really evenly distributed, okay? Chloe is legally an adult by law, but neurologically, she's still forming. She's making choices while traumatized, abandoned, and unsupported, and those choices are shaping her brain in real time in the game. I don't see her as an adult. I just see her as a young woman dealt a really brutal hand in life, trying to survive in a world that keeps taking from her. Arcadia Bay itself is poison to her. And it's a graveyard of everything she lost. Let's be real about that. Because when you play Life is Strange, you realize it is a graveyard of everything she lost. Chloe lost more than anyone else in this game. But let that sink in. I don't judge Chloe because I have no right to. When I was her age, I wasn't immaculate either. I stirred my own storms. I made my own mistakes. I'm a millennial woman, by the way. I did say I'm 40, right? Just like Chloe, and I grew up in a world that wasn't kind to girls who were queer, non-conforming, or emotionally intense. I'm very emotionally intense, and I'm definitely non-conforming, and I'm a fucking lesbian, okay? Let that sink in. Life is Strange captures the girl experience, the real one, shaped by pressure, expectations, silence, and most of all, survival, okay? That's why Chloe resonates with me. That's why she resonates with so many women who grew up like her. She's not a cautionary tale. She's definitely a mirror, that's for sure. Let that sink in. Now, to end this video, I have to talk about Life is Strange Reunion, which is coming at the end of this month. I am excited. I'm also very curious because they are bringing back Chloe to see where I want to see where they take Max and Chloe in that story. The partners in time. I know I'm whispering. Because Chloe isn't just a character, she's a reminder of what happens when a young woman is left alone in her grief, her anger, as well as her brilliance, because she is witty as fuck, okay? Admit that, okay? She deserved better. She deserved support. We did not give her that. Society did not give her that. She deserves to be understood, which is why I'm talking about her. And maybe in this new story, she'll finally be. But either way, peeps, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one, okay? Bye!